Hi, this is Joe again with another review. And for this video, we'll be discussing a documentary that aired back in 2003 on the Game Show Network, which discusses one of the more infamous moments in the modern game show history. And the reason I'm going to be discussing this documentary is because for the last year, a little more than a year, there's a new uh, over-the-air television station that airs old reruns of old game shows called Buzzer TV. And this Sunday, which is on July 31st, we're going to be airing this infamous episode, but which is, of course, they have the television show, a game show, Pressure Luck, and an infamous contestant by the name of Michael Lawson who figured out the game, how the board worked in Pressure Luck, and, and of course, won over $110,000, which of course is the most money that anybody won in the history of game shows in one day. Uh, so we're going into more details with that, but I wanted to discuss the documentary that aired on the Game Show Network called Big Bucks: The Pressure Luck Scandal. Now, previously, I have touched on this in my review of the show Pressure Luck, but back in 2003, but 19 years after this episode, the Game Show Network made a documentary on this, and it is a pretty good documentary. It is on YouTube, so I suggest everybody to check it out. Because the Game Show Network doesn't broadcast this documentary anymore, because the guy who hosted and narrated the documentary, as well as hosted the original game show Pressure Luck, unfortunately passed away 3 years later in a plane crash. So because of that, they don't air the documentary anymore. But it is on YouTube, like I said, and so is the original episodes that Michael Lawson was on. Now, and this documentary is one of the better documentaries about a game show scandal. There have been, I think, previous documentaries about the original game show scandals back in the 1950s, particularly the game show 21. But you didn't really have another game show scandal really until Pressure Luck, and that one didn't get as much publicity. It did for about 30 seconds, but unfortunately, it really didn't get the big deal as it should. Uh, and of course, Michael Lawson probably would have been pissed off that he didn't get publicity as he should have, and it was mentioned in the documentary. What the documentary is, like he says, Pressure Luck, Big Bucks, the Pressure Luck Scandal. And it delves into Michael Lawson, who was from Ohio, and he was an unemployed ice cream truck driver, and he wanted to make a quick buck. Of course, in those days, you either had to win. This was the early days of state lotteries, so the odds of winning those were astronomical. And the other way to win a bunch of money is going on a game show. And in those days, you didn't win a whole lot of money, except of course in Pressure Luck, because that's the only game show at the time which gave out the most money of all the game shows, and there was more game shows in that time than they are now in television. Whereas you do have a bunch of other game shows. Excuse me. They do have a whole bunch of game shows on that time. They did offer cash as some of the prizes, but you also get prizes for trips. You get cars. You get uh, all kinds of other furniture or appliances and stuff like on Price is Right, for example. But Pressure Luck, most of the prizes was cash, in various dollar amounts. And of course, Pressure Luck ran on a computer, or at least a Game Boy. And the reason how you earn spins is by answering questions. And then they have two separate rounds. One round, and it is divided up into 4 sections actually. The first section was a question and answer round. Then you have a bonus spin round. Then you have a second question round, and then you have a second bonus round. Of course, the second bonus round, they increased the dollar amounts. So the highest one was like $5,000 in the second round. Of course, how you earn spins is if you and you are asked for trivia questions, and they're all multiple choice. And if you ring in, if you buzz in, and they have three players. All the three players have buzz in. And if you correctly answer the question, you get 3 spins. And if you agree with the correct answer, you get 1 spin. And that's how you earn spins. And then you get on the board and you play. Well, Michael Lawson was an unemployed ice cream truck driver, and he had nothing to do, so he used to tape. And those were the early days of the VCRs as well. That is how long ago this was, in 1984. So the VCRs would first start coming out. They didn't have there's no DVRs, there's no TiVo, there's not another digital recording devices at that time. We just had VCRs that was coming out then. Unfortunately, the VCR is now extinct as an 8-track tape is now. Unfortunately. And he would tape the show, Michael Lawson would tape the show Pressure Luck every day, and he would notice the patterns, because the big board on Pressure Luck was, they programmed on a computer, and you have 5 pans, that's it. And when one pan went in, another sequence, the next sequence was start instantaneously, so it's like no rotate between the five pans that I programmed into the computer. And originally it was supposed to be 6. But I thought 6 was six sequences were too many, so they just had 5. I figured, oh, no one could beat that system. Well, Michael Lawson did, because he figured out, because he watched the show every day, and he paid attention to where on the board, they have about 18 squares, and they all will line up. Of course, on these pans, and you have to figure out on this timing right, and you hit the buzzer and will line up on the big money amounts. If you knew exactly where the lights were in. And of course, there were encouraged contestants to say no whammies, big bucks, no whammies, so that they weren't paying attention to how the squares would line up and the pans of the squares. But Michael Lawson didn't do it. He did it at first, in the first spin or two. And then he just concentrated, and he brought it down, and he concentrated, and he spun 44 times without a whammy. Of course, on the Pressure Luck Scandal documentary, they showed how he figured out the pans. On one particular pan, and if you count clockwise, he numbered the squares. He went 2, 12, 1, 9, 4. That's the particular pan, and of course, square number 9. Square number. I think it was square number 8, or the 8th square, which is on the right side of the board, and number 4, which is the was on the top row of the board. Those 2 squares then have a whammy, and they have a lot. Square number 8, which is on the right side of the board, did not have as much money as the one on the top. The square on top, the square number, which was square number 4, usually have $3,000, $4,000, or $5,000 in a spin. And Michael Lawson kept hitting on that square and square number 8, which is on the right side of the board. He kept hitting. He figured out where the pans were when they hit those 2 particular squares, and that's how he got most of his money. And he kept going and going and going and going, to the point where, of course, Pressure Luck was only a half-hour show, and they only had 1 episode a day. So what they did was they divided the show into 2 episodes, and the show was taped on May 19th, and then about a month or so later, I was just out of school, for the summer, and they aired those 2 episodes, and I just happened to see those episodes because I was obsessed with the show. And I do remember seeing that, because I do remember Michael Lawson going nuts, going chimp, yeah, every time I hit the big dollar amounts, and how he went nuts is what I particularly remember. And also he kept spinning and spinning and spinning, and how they cut off the show into 2 separate episodes. And that's what I remember most. And of course, they said never aired again in the documentary, which was bullshit, because a few years later, like at the end of the 80s, when 88, 89, and into 1990, the USA Network used to air Pressure Luck and reruns, and they did air this the 2 episodes on the USA Network. And of course, those shows never appeared again until they put in the full thing on this documentary. And now, like I said earlier at the top of this review, on Buzzard TV on July 31st at 8 o'clock, right up against the new Sharknado movie, they're going to be airing these two episodes. And of course, it's also a piece of nostalgia, and to see Michael Lawson, beat the system, which he did. I just wish the Buzzard TV would air this documentary that how Michael Lawson beat the system. And of course, what happened was, of course, Michael Lawson screwed up royally afterwards, which I'm going to explain. At first, of course, at that time, a lot of the game shows, particularly ones that were on NBC, ABC, and CBS, and Pressure Luck was on CBS. The money amounts, and the trips, and the costs, whatever, were provided by CBS. And if you win money, let's say a money amount, CBS gives you the money, and not the producers of the show. And at CBS, they're trying to figure out a way to weasel out of giving Michael Lawson without giving him the money. Because at first they thought that he cheated. And of course, what they determined was that he didn't cheat. He figured out on his own how the game worked, how the board worked, and how it was programmed. And he was just smart enough to figure. He had the basic intelligence to figure out, hey, I know the system of Pressure Luck. Now remember at the time when the show aired, the episodes aired, they didn't mention the fact that Michael Lawson did figure out the system, and this contestant figured it out, and so Pressure Luck is going to increase the pads. And I think it went like 16 lists of 32, or they didn't mention in the documentary, it was like 16 lists or between 16 and 32 lists. They programmed the computer from then on during the course of the next 2 years of the show ran, because the show ran to 1986. So at least the original show went from 83 to 86. So by 86, the show was finished with CBS, and of course there was a newer version on the Game Show Network called Whammy, the all new Pressure Luck. And ironically, they did have an episode. I think it is on YouTube. You can see Priya Tamarkin plus 2 contestants that was playing against Michael Lawson in those infamous episodes. And the reason why Michael Lawson was not in that episode is because of the fact that in 1999, Michael Lawson died of throat cancer. But before then, Michael Lawson screwed up royally. And what I mean by screwed up royally, because he was in with a common law marriage with his girlfriend at the time. And he took out all the money that he won on Pressure Luck out of the bank, and he had it in grocery bags in his house. And I figured, why would anybody do this? Well, Michael Lawson heard a contest on a local radio station, and if you matched the serial numbers of a $1 bill, you win, I think like $10,000 or $20,000, whatever the money amount was. So he took all the money out and was looking every day for hours on end, looking for matching the serial number for a $1 bill. And he left the money in the house. And he went with his living common law wife to a Christmas party, and when they were out, the house was broken into and someone stole all the money. Except for about $500 that was stashed away in a bureau drawer. And Michael Lawson accused his girlfriend of stealing the money, which of course she didn't. And she said, "Oh, I had enough of this crap." So she took the $500 out that was in the drawer and left them. And of course, she actually kicked Michael Lawson out of the house, and he left. And the $500 was the only money that she got out of the $110,000 that Michael Lawson won. And of course, when the show did eventually air on CBS, she didn't give a shit. She wasn't interested anymore because she was so tired of Michael Lawson and being smaller than everybody and outsmart the producers and of Pressure Luck and in the CBS television network. And of course, when he found out he was dying, his son, he had a son, and so he wanted to make amends to his son before he died, and his son didn't want to see him. And of course he passed away, unfortunately. But one of the last interviews he did was in 1994 when the Robert Redford movie Quiz Show came out. And of course, I'm talking about the original game show scandal back in the 50s with the game show 21. And so game show scandals were a big deal, and Michael Lawson gave an interview for Good Morning America, and it was really one of the last things he did, when he admitted what he did, how he figured out Pressure Luck. But unlike the game show scandals in the 50s, it was an imp thing. Michael Lawson didn't get the publicity as he should. I mean, he got a little bit at the time in '84, particularly when the episodes originally aired. But over the years, he didn't get the credit as he deserved, and he was entitled to. But unfortunately, this documentary gave him the credit for what he did. And plus, there was other little tidbits here and there about what Michael Lawson did. And I do hope you watch the episodes on Buzzr TV or on YouTube or wherever you can see those particular episodes. This was really just fun to see somebody who actually figured out how a game was programmed and figured it out and actually beat that system. So that's my review of Big Bucks, the game show scandal. And please click on the video, please rate it. Feel free to comment on it. Please subscribe to my channel, and please forward this video onto your Facebook pages. You can check out all of my videos not only on my YouTube channel, rowdyc.com. That's OWDY, and then C.com. There's a homepage of the Rowdy Reviewer, Wrestling More. And please check out all of his content on his website. Not just his TV trash videos, but all of his other content on his website. Thanks for watching. Catch you next time.